This is dedicated to all my beautiful queens, all my beautiful ladies out there. She's a queen. Go queen. You got it, girl. She's a queen. You better represent. Go queen. Go queen. Go. She's a queen about her business. Queen. Working hard on a mission. Yeah. Head high, purpose driven. Purpose driven. Crown no never tilted. Queen. Go queen, go queen, go queen, go. Represent, you're a queen, you're a queen, oh.
So thank you guys for joining another episode of the Q Chat podcast. So today I have a very special guest. I have the Grammy nominated singer and songwriter. I have the Love King himself, Mr. Raheem DeVaughn, aka Mr. Midnight. So how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you again so much for being on the show. So I'm just going to dive into it. So this is a Q Chat. It's a conversation that we have for the queen. So I wanted to start it off with, so your first album, The Love Experience, which is one of my favorites. You have 2 singles on there, You and Guess Who Loves You More. With your songs and your albums, you have this common theme where you particularly dedicate everything to women, just as, like, of course, with the song You. So how important is it for you just to give that crown to the queens in all of your songs and in your music?
It's important. I feel like then it was very important, and now it's just as important. Music has changed drastically since then and kind of went in another direction in terms of, like, there's a lot more records that I think that are not respectful of women, like lyrically and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So even more so, same reasons that I did it then, I do it now. I mean, my in transparency, my mother and my grandmother, who's no longer living, but my mother's still living, like, those are the 2 women who I, on a day-to-day, had an example of what, a strong woman, a strong Black woman, the beauty they exemplify, the strength that they exemplify, trials and tribulations they go through as women. Like, I kind of saw all of that firsthand. So they were my, kind of like the canvas or inspiration, Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure that, and that, I mean, I just never want to be that. I never wanted to be that dude that made records that, like, where I'm calling women, out of their name and stuff like that. And it's like comfortably on a record, and then, like, look my mother in the face and give her, like, the album. Like, it just ain't never well with me like that. Some things I can separate now. Talking about records for the bedroom or sex or that type of thing, I can, because that's Mother Nature, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's a normal thing. That's how I got here. But again, I'm not trying to make no music that I leave behind, in terms of my legacy and my catalog, that, like, my mom or my sons, go back and listen to it and kind of think, like, that's how I was moving, or it's cool for them to move like that because, well, his dad said it, you know what I mean? So probably will pop up with a sex tape,
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you mentioned legacy and legend. So one of the main things I definitely want to ask you, of course, you have your new album, What a Time to Be in Love. So one of your first tracks was Marvin Used to Say. So of course, Marvin Gaye, in my opinion, was like the godfather of merging, singing about love making, but also being socially conscious. So, obviously last year was just a whirlwind, of course, and your album came out at such a unique time, just for the world we were living in. Do you feel like you hold the torch to merge all of that, just putting that spotlight on love making, and just having that socially conscious, mind when you're making your music?
I would probably never say that. I would probably never say my mother hold the torch, but it seems that way. Like, it probably, I mean, people saying, You know what I mean? There's definitely a lot of comparisons there to me and Marvin. You know, the new video Marvin, I have a video for Marvin Used to Say, which is actually going to be coming out, you know, to pay homage, you know, for his birthday. I'm gonna drop that for his birthday. So, so I've been holding it till then. It's pretty epic, you know. I play him and I play Marvin Gaye in the video. So, you know.
Okay.
But it's so it's but yeah, I mean, more so carrying that torch that was already lit, you know. R&B musical Olympian. Yeah, definitely keeping the torch lit for and showing you know, my peers that there are other artists who are doing the same thing, you know.
Right.
They don't probably the recognition they deserve for it, you know. And yeah, so definitely it's with intention.
With everything going on, do you find sometimes where you have to decide whether you want to really throw in that socially consciousness in your music? Like, do you find there's a balance, you know, that, hey, I want to sing about love and everything?
I think balance is important, you know. First instinct, it probably been a whole socially conscious record, but I don't know how that have been received. Like sometimes things are just a little too heavy, you know? So I think that balance is important. I think that you have to understand as an artist, you can't be totally selfish as to what you want to put out because people use it for a sense of escapism and a number of things. So in that sense, it made me want to be more balanced and focused and making sure that like, am I making an album for me or am I making something that's iconic that people can enjoy, you know, and trying to get a sense for what I feel like people need or what's missing from the game in the process. So, you know, and I feel like I have a formula that's worked, you know, and it's continues to get better. I continue to get better at what I'm doing, which is also a goal, you know, to be consistent, but also get better in certain areas, you know, and to experiment, you know, with the art form down and with the culture and see what works and what doesn't work, and you know.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, and I'm steering away a little bit from the music. So like I said, I know, like, I feel like you definitely have that eye, that respect for women, as we discussed. So can you tell me a little bit about your Love Life Foundation? I mean, when I was hearing about it, I was like, I felt that was really amazing. So can you just tell me about how you decided to start that and the origin and everything?
I started it based on the fact that I had been called upon to do a number of things in my city related to domestic violence in particular. And I feel like I could be more of value to the community, Black community and the community as a whole by having my own foundation. Since then, we've done numerous events. We started in 13, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, we found it since then. Some of the initial events we did were the Queen for a Day spa takeovers, where we would take over salons and basically do these events for women who were transitioning out of severe domestic violence situations. I did at least half the country with those. Been to the UN for the topic, as well as sex trafficking and child exploitation. You know, and so is that aspect, and it's also the component of feeding the homeless and those that are displaced, and creating food banks. You know, in some cases in the city, you know, where people can pick up fresh produce and things of that nature. You know, so that's something we've done over the last few years. Even as recent as the beginning of the pandemic, where we partnered with Alma Catering, who's Alma's a sister that's here in my city. She's actually just joined my board as well. I'm in the middle of revamping the foundation, you know, trying to understand virtual space and how we can still do the work physically on the ground. But she basically prepared meals at the crib and serviced them out to essential workers and first responders, you know, early during COVID. For a lot of the families, you know, that work in the medical field, they couldn't go home after working those rigorous long hours and exposing themselves to the virus potentially. They had to quarantine, you know, either at work or, you know, hotel, stuff like that. So it's been great working, you know, with her and the foundation and doing that. We also have a textbook scholarship fund, which is kind of like covers the educational aspect. You know, where we've sent off a number of students off to college and pay for their first year of you know, pay for their books and supplies for the first year of college. You know, some who've graduated at this point, and you know, and went on to do great things in the workspace, whatever it is they majored in. So those are just a few of the initiatives. We had a huge partnership with the AHF for the last few years, which is the AIDS Foundation, and they were a sponsor for an annual Christmas concert that we did up until 2020, before the pandemic.
Okay, that's amazing. I commend you for that. So speaking of COVID, so obviously COVID had a huge impact on everyone and obviously artists and that nature because people couldn't tour, things like that. So I noticed just personally as a fan that you were doing a lot of lives starting last summer on IG. So with your lives on IG, do you feel like the pandemic, I feel like the pandemic was kind of a blessing and a curse for people. Do you feel like the pandemic gave you an opportunity to connect more personally with fans, like with your lives and everything like that?
Yeah, I always been connected to the fans though. What people experienced on social media is what I always have done in person. So people who haven't had the opportunity to catch a show or experience that in person, they didn't understand that that's just who I am. It's always who I've been in terms of like engaging with my audience, and I'm at the meet and greets and giving hugs and signing merch, and they my fans are a big part of or have been a big part of in the past, like the fundraising aspect of like in terms of the foundation, in terms of like instead of me charging them for photos after the concert, basically I would just take a photo. I would take a donation for a photo. So that's how we raise a lot of the finances to be able to do the scholarships, toy drives, like all that type of thing. So the fans were involved directly in part of the process. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I mean, it definitely, social media definitely makes it easier, but I do miss that personal touch, or like, after the show and, standing out there for an hour, 2, 3, just, depending on where I go on. If I'm on a show and it's like, I'm the headliner, I still come out after, till they throw us out of the building or what have you, or, if I'm going on, co-headlining the bill and going on before another act, then, I'm in the lobby typically. Like, if I go on first, depending on what it is and who's on the bill, like, I would just make a habit of just being in the audience afterwards. So even when I did the virtual concerts, last year, I made it fun in a space where we would do the virtual meet and greet after that, and people that purchased a ticket virtually, I would go live with them and they get to get a picture after the show and that type of thing. Just keep that mindset of like, hey, this is what we do, and we persevere and we keep moving regardless.
Right. So let's go back to a little bit. I had an interview with Benny Peel, a music exec, the other day, and I asked him a question about R&B music. Like, I'm an old head. I know, like in the 80s, 90s, I feel like R&B was just like, it was everywhere. So currently, do you think the state of R&B is a little different? I know I've heard a lot of debates where some people just think, oh, R&B is dying, it's different because of hip hop. What's your take on the current state of R&B in the music world?
I think R&B is in a great space. It's really about who you're listening to, like, you know, how you go about getting your outsourcing of music. There's a lot of different artists that are like out there that are dope. You know what I'm saying? And indie artists want to come up, new artists who are already established. It's a lot of great music out there. Yep. It's a lot of great music.
Definitely.
I was looking, I was kind of like, I know, just in case you end up saying like, well, who? You know, I got she. I didn't know that was coming next. So that's
well, I don't put you on the spot though. So
good. I mean, I do I'm on the Clubhouse app and I do a slow jam show on Sundays at 10 p.m. East Coast Standard Time. As far as Sage and Slow Jams, it's actually called Club Sage and Slow Jam. So for anybody that may be checking out this interview and wants to hang out with me on Sundays and maybe get on stage and say, hey, what's up, Raheem? Or I love what you're playing. Or, you know, sometimes I play exclusive music for myself that hasn't been released yet. All kind of cool stuff, you know. But like as far as like new artists like Victoria Monet is crazy dope. It's a young man from my city. I won't call him a kid, you know, like make I'm sonning him. Rose, he's really dope. I'm excited to see what else he's got coming. I mean, it's a lot of Gene Noble, who's really dope, who's been out, you know, for some time and songwriting, producing for other people, singing background for other artists. That's just a few of the people I play. Van Jess, which is crazy. I love them. They're dope. I just discovered them recently. Of course, Eric Billinger, who's been around for a while.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I support the new wave. And those are just like new people on the radar, like Xavier Omar and Masego and you know what I'm saying, Sir, BJ Chicago Kid. Like, I came out in Ro James, like, you know what I mean? I came out in 2005. So these are like these are the cats now that are like, you know what I mean? Like holding it down. And I mean, I discover new artists every day, not to mention Ari Lennox, who's incredible. Of course, Jasmine Sullivan. Jasmine's been out for a while. I love what everybody's doing though. I think R&B is in a great space. I think that it's corporate America. It's the corporate, when you talk about like radio and terrestrial radio and that thing that makes it a little confusing at times, opportunity for more spaces. The reality is way more artists than it is radio space to not only break new artists and play new artists, yet alone maintain the space for the artists who just already been out and dropping music, consistently like myself. So you have to look to other platforms and different ways to expose your music to the people now,
Right. So ironically, I just started a radio show and I have a second hour playlist and I literally play your songs like every single week. And like the catalog is crazy, because like I'll sit down and pull a song, like you said, you've been out since '05, and the Love Experience is something that I can throw on like now and it feels like it just came out yesterday. So speaking of, consistency and being out since '05, like what has motivated you? Because when I listen to like your body of work, from Love Connection, what it feels like, just going back, it feels like stuff that just came out yesterday. It could be something that you came out with in '05, but it just feels so fresh. Like what just keeps you motivated to keep coming out with all this fresh music?
I mean, I studied the greats, man, and the greats never fell off. You know what I mean? They changed with the times. They were a student of the culture. And I'm gonna assume that they really loved what they did. They were passionate about it. So that those same things apply to me. Like I put the pressure on myself, so I never feel the pressure. If that makes sense. Like I was in the studio last night. Like I didn't really, not to say I didn't really want to be there, but I didn't know what I was necessarily going to go do. Like sometimes I just go just to go. just to stay, like, it's like going to the gym to practice, you know, my jump, you know what I mean? Like, I could have just chilled, but I went to the studio, and a lot of times when I go and I push myself, something great comes out, you know? I'm in a space of creativity though now, when I'm kind of like listening to what's happening, finding a way to put myself directly in the mix, you know what I'm saying? Like creatively. And, you know, I see things on Twitter or different, you know, outlets, and people saying, yeah, I'm listening to, you know, whatever's popping right now. And they mentioning me, you know, and it is letting me know, like, okay, like it's still, my name's still in the conversation. But it's fueled by passion. Like, I'm just passionate what I do. I enjoy it, and I pride myself on making great music. And I just never want to be that dude to fall off. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I do accept that I'm getting older. I understand that. You know what I mean? I think that that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of artists, especially in the space that I'm in. You know, but for me, you know, I'm here to tell you, I don't know how old you are, but like when you get in your 40s, 40 time, that's the best time of your life.
You know, I'm 43. Yeah, trust me, I know.
But, yeah, so you already know, you know what I mean? So that's the prime and the prime peak for real, you know? And for me, I have an advantage because I'm near. I done got there. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to like navigate through it and manifest it and understand things now that I didn't know at 20, 30. So for the pressure really is on my peers and the younger peers. They got to get to that point, you know, because you can run out of gas. I seen it happen, you know, for a lot of different people, for a lot of different reasons, you know. So, you know, I just try to stay inspired, you know, keep my nose clean, you know, making sure, you know, eating healthy, you know what I mean, that type of thing. You know, I never really been big on like, you know, drugs and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's been a hell of a ride, and it's still a lot to accomplish, do.
Right. I don't think you'll ever fall off. Like I said, I've been a fan for a long time, and I'm not alone. So I don't want to hold you too much longer. So one of my last questions is, like, obviously you're the Love King, aka Mr. Midnight. Like, all your songs, like, it really puts Black love on the map. So how important is it for you to just put that spotlight on Black love? Because I feel like that's something that people don't realize. Like, hey, we're not always fighting. We also love each other. So how important is it?
That too is intentional, you know what I'm saying? Without getting too deep with it, like, I went through a lot last year in a personal space, and like as it relates to like matters of the heart and stuff like that. And I still was able to go and be able to step outside of, I mean, and what we had going on in the world, and be able to step outside of myself and still be able to create something like that and package it in the body of work that lets me know that, you know, at the end of the day, my gift doesn't belong to me, but it's given to me through the universe to be of service to the universe, be of service to people. So the Black love intent is intentional. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, whether I'm in love, married, divorced, single, whatever, right? I still, I feel obligated at this point, you know what I'm saying? And thankful, you know, to be able to be present, to be able to still conjure up these songs that work well in the bedroom and work well for walking down the aisle. And, you know, I realized in the last 12 months that I create music for some of the most intimate and vulnerable moments that people have. Um, um, you know, with one another and with themselves. So, you know, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Right. So I don't want to hold you too much longer. So this is my last question. But first, before we get to it, I just want to thank you just for blessing the show. But thank you because, like I said, our show is for Queens. So just for the Love King himself, I just want to thank you just for always just putting Black women on a pedestal too. I think that's something that, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that. Like, I feel like you really do put Black queens on a pedestal, and I just want to definitely say I appreciate that. So I do end the show asking all the guests, how do you define a queen? But I have to ask the Love King to answer this question. And you've defined it quite a bit with your songs like Queen and You, but I have to ask you, the Love King, Raheem DeVaughn, how do you define a queen?
Bossy, sassy, classy, educated, enlightened, spiritual, Renaissance woman. You know, y'all are incredible. Black women are black, you know, black girl magic is real. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you know, I think that's pretty much sums it up. If you had to look to songs of catalog, it would be like songs like Queen, Woman, Greatness, Black Girl Magic. They don't make them like you no more. I could go on and on and on. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much.
I got a lot of them, you know?
Yeah, you do. Like, when I try and go through your catalog, like, it's bananas. But like I said, thank you so much just for gracing this show. Thank you for blessing Queens and all your music. And I wish you all the luck. Please stay safe. But before we end everything, tell everyone, you know, how they can find your music. I know you have your new album that just came out last November. So give everybody all your information.
Yeah, so the new album, again, is called What a Time to Be in Love. It's available. Mr. Midnight, the singles, doing well. I don't know where are you based? What city you in?
I'm in Louisiana, right outside of New Orleans.
Shout out to Louisiana. I'm sure they're gonna be hearing it on the radio out there. We got the green light for ads on radio, so I'm looking to see this record, Mr. Midnight, hit the charts real heavy between now and May. I'm about to shoot a video for Motions, and as well as a Special Occasion. So we got some more videos on the way. And then we also have the video for Marvin Used to Say, which is coming out as well on Marvin's birthday. I have a whole nother project that's coming tentatively in May/June with the producer Apollo Brown out of Detroit, Michigan. So you can listen out for that. The Love Sick album. Yeah, so that's gonna be major. I've been playing samples of that on the live and stuff like that. So that's coming, and I got something really big coming around. I think anticipate around September as well. I can't say what that is yet though, but that's gonna be like a serious game changer.
Ooh, good. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm doing readings for movies and stuff like that right now, and as well. You can check out, it's a film called Available Wife that I'm in. It's available online as well as love.com, and both of those are available. You know, love.com is on Netflix. Available Wife, you can see that through Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe it's on the All Black Network because I saw it. Yeah.
All Black Network. And you know, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Raheem_DeVaughn. You can find me on Vivo at vivo.com/Raheem DeVaughn, youtube.com/Raheem DeVaughn. And also I am on the Clubhouse app at Raheem DeVaughn. Make sure you join my club, Sage and Slow Jams.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Many blessings to you. Stay safe and stay warm. And I'm looking forward to all your new projects coming up. And thank you again.
And there it is. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay safe.